It's not just the face. That's the best way I could summarize all the points that I want to make here. A character's design is not just their clothing, it's not just their face, it's not just their body type, it's not just their skin, it's not just whatever. It is all of those things culminated into one entity. And I feel as though we're getting a little bit lost in the sauce here. Whenever I see a criticism of Anran's design, it's always talking about her face. But that's not the only thing that is making the design bad, at least in my opinion. I have certain criteria for what constitutes as a good design, but that doesn't mean a design has to check off every box on the list in order to be passable. Hell, there are some designs that don't check off any of the boxes, and unfortunately I like them because I just think they look nice. And when it comes to talking about design in the Big 26, there's always this stigma around it. General consumers of media don't put that much thought into the kind of designs that they like, and while there's nothing inherently wrong with that, it is extremely important as consumers of media for us to discuss what constitutes as a good and a bad design. And when it comes to a character like Anran, who has had significant criticisms in regards to the current iteration of her design, I find a time like this extremely important to speak about what makes a design stick out, memorable, and generally good. The current state of criticizing things feels like walking on eggshells because there will always be some dickhead telling you that your opinion is wrong. But if we refrain from having conversations like these, then we may never see the kinds of things that we love to see in media ever again. A character's design is extremely important. It's supposed to tell you everything that you need to know about the character before you actually get shown all of these things. A good design can tell you a character's entire story before you've actually been exposed to the story itself. It can give you details about their personality, their background, how they may act in certain situations. In conclusion, a character's design is extremely important. So if I see one fucking comment asking why I'm complaining about a character's design, I will simply respond with nothing other than ignorance. Because it's inherently ignorant to not give a frog's fat ass about the media you consume and then proceed to interact with fan work surrounding it. Because once again, my content is fan work. I criticize what I like because I want it to be better. So unless you want to be called an ape for acting like one, do not leave a brain-dead comment in my comment section. Now that that's out of the way, this bitch fucking sucks. Anran is a generic and conventionally attractive woman, but that is not inherently an issue. The problem stems from the fact that her design directly conflicts with the theme that they're going for with the character. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you right now. Until I saw her gameplay, I did not notice that she had a phoenix motif. That's really bad. Her current in-game facial features conflict with the kind of personality that she's been given. That's really bad. Her gameplay is extremely fun, her personality and story are extremely likable, but her design tells an entirely different story. That's really bad. Anran is this spunky, confident hothead who communicates way better with her actions than her words. She's a character who's obviously genuinely caring, but someone who will communicate that in a snarky way. And while the animations definitely communicate that extremely well, those sharp, fierce eyes, that overconfident smile, those wide, sharp, almost theatrical methods of motion do such a good job of telling us that she's confident, she's competent, she's a show-off. She is the shit, and she's going to kick your shit in. But when you look at her actual face, the structure of it, the size and shape of those eyes that at first looked fierce are actually round? The version of her that we have in game doesn't look like the older sister that'll kick your ass for talking mean to her little brother. If anything, she looks like the kind of person who will calmly resolve things. What the fuck? The reality is there is such thing as a kind face, and they opted to give her one in order to make her more conventionally attractive. But when you lean so far into convention and drive so far away from niches, you get away from the good core parts of a character design. There's this obsession that so many dev teams have with making every character as attractive as possible to the general populace. It's this idea that the more people that like them, the more that they will sell. And what was so cool about Overwatch 1 designs is that they all appealed to a certain niche. What makes that so good is that everyone is different and everyone is going to like something different. By proxy, things are going to sell better if they are different from one another. I'm personally not a Zarya fan, but I will admit that she is a good design, is not conventionally attractive, and has a dedicated player base who are willing to buy her skins. But in the case of Anran, they've sacrificed the features that would appeal to her niche in order to appeal to the general player base. What this creates is a character design that is passable, something that's not inherently good, but is good enough for people to still interact with it. But in the case of Anran, it does create a bad design because it directly conflicts with the idea of the character that we're supposed to be given. If she's one thing that I like, but she reads as something that I don't like, then obviously I'm not going to play her because I think that she's something that I don't like. And that's the problem with constantly leaning into convention. It creates a character that has no identity. It creates a loss of the individuality that Anran as a character has that makes her stand out in the first place. And there's something very interesting about about all of this that I'd like to point out, and this is very important for all of you to know. I'm not blaming the character designers at Blizzard, I'm blaming the higher-ups for this. People have noticed inconsistencies when it comes to Anran's design across the different mediums that we've seen her in. In the cinematic with her and Wu Yong, she had those features that fit into the specific niche that I was talking about. And then if you look at the artwork for the Overwatch vs. Talon event, we can see that Anran's ponytail is way longer than it is in-game. It's not that the character designers were trying to make a boring, generic, pretty woman, they were trying to make someone who was actually pretty dope, but it's obvious that Blizzard thought it would be better if she was more conventionally attractive in order to sell them skins. And this is important to talk about because there's so many phenomenal character designers whose concepts get shut down because everything is running off of the idea that sex sells. We as consumers allow for these very boring designs to be supported and by proxy funded, which is how we end out with very boring and generic products like Highguard. As we currently stand, the internet keeps telling each other to stop complaining about things, but unless we keep complaining, we're not going to get better products. Every time I look at Anran's design, I'm reminded of how far the old Overwatch team would have went with her Phoenix motif. Overwatch decided to make Mercy a battle angel, and so they literally gave her angel wings and the capability to revive others. You're not just told that she's an angel, you can literally see the halo around her head and the light that illuminates around her. You don't need to see Reaper's name in order to know that he's the Grim Reaper. He's wearing a skull-shaped mask and a cloak. And while with Anran, I do appreciate that they were aiming for subtlety, her clothing just feels so genuinely under-designed. If I were to personally fix Anran, I'd give her the face that she has in the cinematic, I'd give her that giant long ponytail that she has in that one artwork, maybe even tip her hair orange or yellow to make it feel like it's phoenix feathers, and since we're going for traditional clothing-wise, give her sandals instead of sneakers so that her grippers are separated like a bird's, and phoenixes are known for that extremely long tail feather, so why not give her an extremely long tailcoat? On top of all that, why not give her an extremely top-heavy build? Keep her scrawny little chicken legs and then give her strong, very pronounced pectorals. Not to the point where it's uncanny, obviously, but to the point where there's at least shape language and where she has a distinct silhouette. There are definitely certain things about her costuming that I really like how her shoulder pauldrons or the little danglies off of her elbows reflect feathers, or how her cowlick gives her the iconic bird mohawk. I really do like the things that they committed to, they just don't overcommit like they used to, and that creates a design that genuinely feels like it's lacking in a lot of areas. And it sucks because when I first started making this video, I didn't really like Anran at all, but while playing her and touching up lore-wise, I started to actually like the character, but my opinions on her design didn't change at all. And lastly, I'm happy that they decided to change her face to look how it does in the cinematic. That at least gives me some sort of hope for the future characters that'll be to come. That's all that I really have for now. Be sure to like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments. I know you will. Peace.